All right, so because it has an A value that is negative, so for the max and min, we're looking at this number. And because it's negative, that means that it is a frown. And if it's a frown, it has a maximum, not a minimum. So that means that A is false, B is true. Which one of these numbers is your y-intercept? Is it the -3, the -12, or the -16? Which one do we look at, A, B, or C? C. And what is C? -16. So that's my y-intercept. So we don't look at B, so this is false. It's not D. It is C. All right, axis of symmetry, the equation for axis of symmetry is x equals opposite of B divided by 2A. Okay, so B is -12. So A is -3. B is -12. C is -16. So the opposite of -12 is +12. And then A is -3. So in your calculator, go ahead and type that in. Take 12 and divide that by 2 times -3, or 12 divided by -6. And what is 12 divided by -6? Is it +2 or -2? -2. So that means that which one is true, E or F? Who says E? Who says F? It's E, you're right. So far we got 3 true statements. And then lastly, which one is all real numbers? One of them is always going to be all real numbers. Is it the domain or is it the range? It's the domain. So this is true. Those are your 4 true statements. Go ahead, take out your notes, and we're going to finish out this second section. After today, you will be able to complete homework 2, which is due on Wednesday. So again, your first skills check of the semester is tomorrow, so make sure you're studying, looking over your notes. You really just want to look at, can I see your notes real quick, Leslie? Let me see. You just want to look at pages 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and the top of 4. That's all. That's what you're looking at for tomorrow's skills check. All right, so let's go to page 6 and let's answer these questions about this graph. So sometimes your x-intercept is not a whole number. Sometimes it falls between 2 numbers, okay? So when I'm looking at this first x-intercept, it happens right here. And what does it fall between? What 2 numbers? -2 and -1. So our first x-intercept is between -2 and -1. That's that first one. And our second x-intercept is right here. And what is that between? 4 and 5. Now, looking at a table, though, how can you tell that that's where your solution is going to fall? Because sometimes you don't have a graph. You just have a table. And what you want to look at is look for a sign change. Whenever your sign changes, and I'm talking about the y value. Whenever you get a sign change, which is your y value, that indicates an x-intercept, a x-intercept. So when you look at these, look at the table. This is the table that goes along with this graph. Do you see how y went from negative to positive? So right here we had a sign change. Let's go ahead and circle that. Because we had a sign change right here, we went from a -3 to a +3. That's how I know that this is where my first solution is going to be. It's going to fall between -2 and -1. And then we get another, see how it stays positive, it's positive, 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 and then it switches to a negative. So again, right here, that's how I know that I have another x-intercept. So let's go to the next page and finish this on out here. So looking at the table or the graph, where do we have our sign change? So I'm looking here, and I'm noticing that I have a negative, 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 and then you see how we went from a negative to a positive right here? All right, let's go ahead and circle that. So that tells me, let me circle it with a... So that tells me that right here, my first solution is going to be between 0 and 1. So it's asking us to actually estimate it. So let's go ahead and estimate it. We know that our first solution, so the first solution is between 0 and 1. So give me a number that we think it could be. What do we think that could be? Do we think that it's more than halfway or less than halfway? So this right here would be halfway, so that would be 0.5. So do we think our number is going to be less than 0.5 or more than 0.5? Less. So somebody give me a number less than 0.5. Less than 0.5. So less than 50 cents. What'd you say? 0.3, that would work. You could say 0.3, you could say 0.2. It's approximately, we don't know what it is exactly, but what we do know is that it's between 0 and 1. All right, so on the test, as long as you gave me a number greater or between 0 and 1, it would count as being okay. All right, now let's look at our table. Where do we have another sign change? So here you see how we stay positive, it's positive, it's positive, and then what happened here? It changed to a negative. So let's go ahead and circle this. That means our second solution is going to fall between 3 and 4. All right, so between 3 and 4. So this would be in the middle. So this would be 3.5. So technically, as long as you gave me a number between 3 and 4, it'll be right. But your number should be closer to 4. It should fall between 3.5 and 4. So our second solution, oh, I didn't mean to make a little mark there. All right, so our second solution is between 3 and 4. So somebody give me a number. What do you think it could be? It's more than 3.5, but less than 4.
3.7.
3.7, 3.6, 3.8, 3.9. All of them will be okay. All right, any questions? Now, if you have a table, though, the only thing you can tell me is that it falls between what two numbers? You can't, because if you don't have a graph, you can't really give me a more accurate number. All right, so let's look at these two tables here. Let me zoom out. Let's look at our two tables. And I just want you to, again, you're looking at, this is y. F of x is the same as y. I want you to look here. And where does it, oh, well, another thing you can look for is whenever, so let's write that. When y equals 0, then that is the x is the solution. So this is even better because we actually have a y equals 0. Go ahead and write that down. So whenever y equals 0, that means that whatever x is, that is your solution. So there are two places where y is equal to 0. So I want you to look at your table and give me those two solutions. So look at your table. This is y. Whenever y is equal to 0, that x is your solution. So when does y equal 0? -2. Thank you so much, because I'm like, boy, this is going to be a long 4 months with this class. I just need one person to talk to me, really, though. Okay, right here. So does everyone see how this is equal to 0? So that means that's your solution. So where is another place where we have a 0? Right here. Yep, thank you. This would be my second solution. So what does x equal? 5. Those are your two solutions. Now, if you don't see a 0, then that's where you look for a sign change. So let's look at the second table. You see how I started off positive and then I went to a negative. So that tells me that my first solution is going to fall between these two numbers. I don't know what it is because I don't have a graph, but I know that my first solution is between -2 and -3. That's my first solution. Okay, let's see. So then we stay negative, 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 and then we switch to a positive. So that tells me my second solution is going to fall here. My second solution is between 1 and 2. All right, any questions about our tables and how to find your solution? Can you go to the next page? All right, we got one more example. Let's go ahead and go to page 8, and I want you to try to do it on your own. We don't see a 0. So looking at your signs, where does it change? And write it on your paper. Between what two numbers do you think? This is our last question. All right, good job. All right, let's finish this on out here. So for my y values, so I had a positive, then I switched to a negative. So that tells me that this is going to be my first solution is going to fall between these two numbers. So my first solution is somewhere between -3 and -2. All right, so then I keep going. I stay negative, switch to a positive. So right here, that tells me my second solution is between 0 and 1. All right, go ahead and use the rest of this class period. Try to finish our homework too, get it turned in. Before you leave, And you will be caught up for the week. Make sure you review homework 1 for the skills check tomorrow.